Our incredible panelists today. All right, we've got Whitley Strieber. We have Yvonne Smith. We have Melinda Leslie. We have Kelly Chase. We have Alexis Brooks. And we have Chris Bledsoe. Ladies and gentlemen. All right. My goodness. This is incredible. I'm so psyched. All right, let's start with Yvonne. Yvonne, you've been researching this phenomenon for over 35 years.
34 years to be
34
exact.
years? Okay. All right. I don't want to exaggerate. 34 years, yes. Working closely with abductees,
Yes.
close contact experiencers. How has your thinking about the phenomenon and abduction experience evolved between when you first got involved in the field to now? What's shifted or evolved for you?
So much has been happening. Something that I never thought I would be sharing with audiences when I started this, and I studied with Bud Hopkins, who became my mentor. I worked with Dr. John Mack, Dr. David Jacobs. I mean, we did conferences together. Back then, I was a rookie, so I was very, very fortunate to be able to sit with these A-listers and ask them, have you ever had this in a case? Have you ever had this? Because I thought, oh my God, am I on the right track? And 34 years later, thankfully I was on the right track. But now we are receiving messages from the beings. Now, I never thought I would say this ever in my career. But last year was the first time in my over 3 decades that I received messages from the beings. And I shared that. If any of you attended my lecture, I shared that with the audience. Stepping out, last year was the first time I shared it, so stepping out of my comfort zone. So now we're receiving messages and all these synchronicities that have been happening in my support group Zero and many of my clients. I know that these messages are real, and I was told to share them with the audience at this conference.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. Alexis Brooks is a journalist and host of Higher Journeys, where she explores the intersection of consciousness, metaphysics, and contact. She's a longtime advocate for experiencer-centered storytelling. Alexis, it's so amazing for you to be here today. I'm so happy for you to be here today. Thank you. Same question, how has your thinking evolved over the years in approaching this phenomenon?
There's so many elements to this enigmatic phenomenon, but one theme that I have been pretty steadfast to, and that's the idea that perhaps the majority of this planet may be experiencers, but unconscious of it. This idea has intrigued me. Can you hear me?
Oh. I don't think it's on.
Is this not on? Okay, here we go.
There we go.
I just have to hold, I'm sorry. I'll repeat that.
We might need to turn it up a little bit for Alexis.
Okay, I'll repeat that. One of the ideas that I have been pretty steadfast about is this idea that contact may be not an isolated or outlier phenomenon, but a ubiquitous phenomenon, meaning that the majority of the planet may be having contact but unconscious of it. I spoke about that here 2 years ago. And although there's no proof, I love this saying by Dean Radin that says the only place you'll find proof is in mathematics and in alcohol, as in 100 proof. But evidence through anecdotes, through measuring some of the common threads, through the things that are less common in the experiencer phenomenon, like phobias. That's something I've looked into, and how many of us have phobias. I mean, there's a whole litany of things. talking to the layperson on the street who initially may scoff at what you have to say, and before you know it, they're telling you a story. I looked at the deniers, the skeptics, the Michael Shermers of the world, the James Randys of the world, et al. And my hypothesis is that those that are the most ardent deniers may be the experiencers themselves. So this is something that I am committed to research and continue to research and uncover. So, but to answer your question, I think one of the wonderful things that I'm seeing now is people are more willing to talk about the fact that they are having some measure of experience, and we can talk about what that constitutes later. But if that answers your question?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you so much, Alexis. Thank you. Kelly Chase is a writer, experiencer, and researcher who co-created, along with me, Cosmosis, UFOs, and a New Reality, available now on Apple TV and Prime Video. Her work explores the philosophical, psychological, and cultural implications of contact, especially from the perspective of those who've lived it. It's fantastic to have you here, Kelly. Kelly, you're also one of my closest friends. What do you think, I know that you have a lot of thoughts about this, how do you feel that mainstream media could more accurately approach the phenomenon and close contact experience altogether?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I think that something that's so challenging with the way that experiencers are often presented in the media is that it's often just sort of, our experiences are used as kind of fodder for suspense or drama or intrigue or the spooky factor, and that there's not usually a way in which the audience is presented with frameworks or models that would help them understand or integrate or frame what has actually happened to this person and what they might be going through. It's such a taboo in our society and something that we just don't talk about. And so people get confronted with this story that is meant to kind of be like, ooh, it's spooky. But then, and then at the end, they're like, who knows what happened? And instead of really interrogating, why is it that things like this happen to people? What is the nature of our reality such that these experiences happen to people? We end up interrogating the character of the experiencer themselves. Because it's so hard to figure out what happened to them, instead we ask questions like, is this person a liar? Is this person credible? Is this person trustworthy? And I think that, we're all human, and it's if you examine anyone too deeply, you're gonna find a reason. We've all told a lie. We all have imperfections. And that I think we end up going down this trail that really invalidates the experience, that takes us further away from understanding, that ultimately, in some ways, hurts and affects the dignity of the people who have been brave enough to share what's happened to them. And so I think that the media could do a much better job of providing the audience with ways to frame these things, to understand them, that are more complex and more nuanced, and that are interrogating the nature of our reality and not the character of the experiencer themselves.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Melinda Leslie. Melinda Leslie is an experiencer, researcher, and Skywatch guide who's, yes?
Yeah, okay, yes, thank you.
Yeah, sure, right? Who's
I'll own it.
Oh, yeah, right? Who's brought thousands and thousands out for her night watch tours
Yes.
for UAPs in Sedona, Arizona. And basically, borderline guaranteeing success in seeing UFOs and UAPs.
Yes, yeah, guaranteed sightings, yes.
She's a longtime investigator of MILAB phenomena, that's military abductions, blending firsthand experience and data-driven insight, and has been a key voice in bridging contact narratives and covert monitoring and interference.
Well said.
Over the years, you've brought so many thousands of people out, and for some people, that's going to be their first encounter. Mm-hmm. What do you find is the most profound shift in the people that you bring out? And what do you see from beginning to end of the night?
Well, goodness. Amazing sightings, like you said, just and tens of thousands of people and tens of thousands of sightings. I just did tour 1,995, so I thought was hitting 2,000 before this weekend and came this close.
That's
Had some
amazing.
cloudy days over the last 2 weeks, so that affected it, not being able to do it. Watching people's reactions over the 14 and a half, nearly 15 years I've been doing it, watching, because yes, I take out other people who are fellow experiencers, and researchers and whatnot, but the public, watching their awareness over the years grow, and, sometimes in this community, we may think out there in the general public, we're not having that big of an impact, And I can tell you from my tours and taking out, I'm taking out roughly 10 people every night, or close to it, between 5 and 10 consistently. And watching over, like I said, a 15-year period, how the public responds to the subject and the impact that the disclosure information is having. I remember when I first brought up what was going on with disclosure, and people went, what? What's that? And now I ask, like, how many people know what UAP is? And if I have 10 people, 8 out of 10 will know what it is. And so it's been an exponential increase. And I see it because I feel like I'm getting, and thank you for this question, because I never get to address this.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And seeing I talk to people privately about, and sometimes clients, the barometer in people's understanding and acceptance. And what surprised me early on the tours, and no longer surprises me, is people, once they have the signs, they open up. And they share their previous sightings. They share their contact experiences. They share their abductions. And so people opening up, and at first that surprised me. It's like, wow, all these people, are coming who've had experiences. I guess it shouldn't have, but now I'm so used to it. I become kind of, not fazed by it anymore, because it's like everyone comes on the tour and starts sharing their experiences with me, And that increasing over the years, their awareness, the impact of the disclosure stuff, people hearing about, think, the news isn't covering, and yes, they need to better without a doubt. But the fact that they're covering it all, people are seeing it, and they're getting it, and of course the impact of Ross and what he's doing, it's like I'm hearing it ever increasingly on my tours from the public, so I have this unique perspective that I'm able to get that barometer of the public view. And you guys, we are having an impact, a huge impact. And I've seen it increase exponentially on my tours. So thanks for the great question on that.
Oh, no, thank you, Melinda, and thank you for the work that you do. I think it's very safe to say that communion changed so much about the conversation when it arrived in bookshelves in the 1980s. Whitley has been diving into this mystery he's a legend among legends in this field. It's so incredible to have Whitley here. From his Dreamland podcast to his new work, The Fourth Mind, Whitley continues to explore the visitors not just as beings, but as teachers, and maybe even kin. It's fantastic to have Whitley here today. Whitley, how have you continue to have experiences, and,
Yes.
and we've had private conversations about experiences that have happened even recently. How has your most recent experiences maybe shifted or added or evolved your perspective of what happened initially with the visitors? Is that a fair question?
No, I'm sorry. It's not. It's a very difficult question to address, but I will address it because my engagement with this is so immediate and ongoing. For example, I'm in an Airbnb with some friends for the conference, and this morning at, I guess, about 2 o'clock, my friends all have fun, and they're over here for dancing wildly all night. Meanwhile, I'm back at the Airbnb, and I was in some kind of a contact situation. It was very intimate, I was in the living room in a chair, lying back in a chair with my eyes closed, and unexpectedly, one of the people in the Airbnb walked into the house, and the experience I was having was very physical. My eyes were closed, and I can't tell you exactly what was happening, but it was extremely intimate and really nice, let me put it that way, and energizing. It was like getting my batteries recharged. And he walked in and just scared the dickens out of me, because I felt like somewhere in me there was something saying, this shouldn't be seen, and which is something we have to think about, because we're in a place where we need to see things. We need to not have that feeling. We need to open ourselves to this more. And so I jumped up screaming. And of course, it scared the hell out of him too. And, we calmed down. I mean, I calmed down, and he, we just sort of laughed about it. He goes to bed in his room, and a few minutes later, he's awakened, or not a few minutes, but probably an hour or so later, he's awakened. I think I'm getting the story right. And he feels the presence of someone in the room. And then he feels something gently lie down on the bed beside him. Never either of us saw anything. But this is what this experience is. And in that night, in what was happening there was one thing missing. There was in here silence from both of us. We didn't hear any words, any voices, anything. This gets me back to what Yvonne said, which I think is terribly, terribly important. The experience she had of coming into contact with this presence. And right now, I don't think we can safely call it anything more than that. Telepathically. This is our future, all of us. We have to get beyond the limitations of audio voice and get into contact in a new way, but not with our imaginations, with who's really there. What did the presence that was in that house this morning want to say? Why did it lie down on the gentleman's bed? I'm not going to say his name. I almost did. I'm not going to. Why did it do that? What was it wanting? What did it want to communicate to him? Was it, we don't know, because we're silent in the most important voice of all, which Diane Hennessy Powell is here talking about, and which Kai Dickens is making a documentary about right now, and she did the wonderful series, The Telepathy Tapes, which you can listen to on Spotify, and don't miss it, because it's so empowering. The non-voiced, unvoiced, autistic spellers, people who can't communicate any other way, are telepathic, many of them, meaning that we can be too. We can be too. How do we do that reliably without our imaginations intervening? This is the future of the contact experience. This is where we need to take this in order to build our presence and the presence of the presence beyond where it is now, so that it can really enter the life of mankind, and mankind can enter the life of the cosmos.
Thank you so much, Whitley. Thank you so much. For Chris Bledsoe, contact isn't a moment, it's a relationship. Since 2007, he's been a quiet witness to a luminous presence that has healed, challenged, and transformed him and his family. His memoir, UFO of God, traces the story of orbs, and it traces the story of miracles. Chris invites us to look up with different eyes. It's such an honor to be on the stage with you today, Chris. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
What do you believe a lot of people here know your story. What do you think is the most important yet underknown aspect of your contact experience that would maybe surprise even the people attending today?
Oh, that's a tough question.
I'm sorry, it's a little early maybe for that question.
I could answer that 100 different ways, really. The most impactful, the whole thing has been going on a long time, right? And when it first come, I had no idea what was happening. So I've been on a mission of learning and studying. But probably the most impactful thing of all is you all. So it made these 18, 19 years of struggle has been difficult to where, I've been down some tough paths with people trying to take my family and my kids from me to everything because of lights in the sky. Think about that. They sent social services to take my family because I reported lights in the sky. So the most impactful thing to me of all of it is when I was in a position of that and dealing with the community trying to lynch me, sprinkling holy water on my property. But I was dealing with high-level scientists at NASA and different places and could never tell it. So I was in a spot that I wanted to shout to the rooftops, but I had to take the darts and I had to take all the stuff. But I'd say the support from not just you, but from people within the government has been the most impactful thing of all to get me to this point. And I don't want to sound like I'm a government cheerleader, but these people are basically you and me. They're all just like us. There's millions within there, and there's a lot of them that want to know just like us. And their support has been tremendous. And now I wrote this book, and I have an upwelling of support from around the world, and I just can't thank you guys enough to say you've impacted my life in a way that I have. Like Whitley said, he got his batteries charged. I'm almost 64. I'm ready to retire, but I don't think I'm going to ever get to now. Really. Thanks for going.
Thank you, Chris.
How do we know it's aliens? Couldn't that just be military aircraft? They now believe there's one planet for every star in the universe. There are already 8.4 billion artificial intelligence systems. Who could have built that 10,000 years ago? Where did you find the source for that? Could AI truly become sentient?
For a unique, in-depth, and rational look at these topics with the world's leading experts, check out Beyond Contact on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Find us at contactinthedesert.com.